Hello students. In our last classes and all, we discussed about what are alloalkanes and alloarenes, and also we came to know different methods for the preparation of alloalkanes and alloarenes. And in today's class, we are going to discuss about physical properties of alloalkanes and alloarenes. Physical properties are going to be very easy and also very important. In your board examination, it can be a question for 2 mark, and in your competitive examination like NEET and JEE and CET, they can ask 2 questions based on this concept, physical property. That means you are going to get minimum 4 mark from this concept. This is very easy, guys. Many students will ignore these physical properties, but remember, this is very important and also it is very easy. If you just understand it once, you can answer all the questions based on these physical properties. So let us see what are all the physical properties we are going to discuss regarding alloalkanes and alloarenes. First, we'll discuss about the states. In which state the alloalkane and alloarene can be. State in the sense phase. And the second physical property we discuss is color. Third one is odor. And the fourth one is melting point and boiling point. This is very important. They may ask n number of questions based on this physical property, that is melting point and boiling point. And the fifth physical property is density. And the last one is solubility. This is also very important, solubility. All the physical properties are important. They can ask questions based on any of the physical property, in which we give more preference for melting point and boiling point, and also solubility of alloalkanes and alloarenes. These are all the physical property we are going to discuss in today's class. Now let's see how the states of alloalkanes and alloarenes will be. I am trying to give some tricks to remember the states of alloalkanes and alloarenes. See, as the number of carbon atom increases, the change of states in alloalkanes will take place in such a way that if it is lower number, if the carbon atom is lesser, then it will be in gaseous form. As you keep on increasing number of carbon atoms in alloalkanes, it will change its states to gas to liquid. And usually we say up to C18, the state of alloalkanes will be in liquid state. And if you increase the number of carbon atoms even more than C18, it will be in the form of solid. You need to use a simple logic over here. We know that gas molecules are lightest, correct? It is very light, lighter than liquid and solid. If the number of carbon atom is less, that means it is, its mass is very less, that means it is lighter. So the state of alloalkane is going to be in gaseous form. As you keep on adding carbon atoms, we already know that it is going to increase with mass. As the mass of alloalkane is going to increase, the state is going to convert into gaseous to liquid. If you add even more number of carbon atoms, it will become heavy. The mass is going to be very high. It will become heavy. If it is heavy, definitely it is going to be in the form of solid state. So, for example, if you consider CH3Br, methyl bromide, CH3Cl, methyl chloride, and you can also write CH3F, which is methyl fluoride, or one more example, you can write C2H5Cl, that is ethyl chloride. And also chlorofluoromethanes are also an example of gaseous state at room temperature. In the room temperature, these kind of compounds are going to be in gaseous form. You can observe here the number of carbon atom is very less, correct? So it will be lighter compared to the other alloalkanes and alloarenes. So this will exist in gaseous form. And if you increase the number of carbon atom, it will be like liquid or if it is more number of carbon atom, then the mass of that alloalkanes is going to be even higher. then it is going to be present in the form of solid state. This is about alloalkenes. What about alloarenes? If you write the molecular formula of alloarene, it will be like C6H5X. Generally, I have considered one benzene ring with one halogen atom. We have replaced one of the hydrogen atom by halogen atom. So, the molecular formula of alloarene became C6H5X. Here you can observe, here it is, number of carbon atom is 6 minimum. So, it is definitely not going to be in the form of gas. Alloarenes are not present in the form of gas. It can be only present in the form of liquid or solid. You can find gaseous state only in haloalkanes. When you discuss about alloarene, these alloarenes are going to be in the form liquid or solid. Definitely not gaseous state. Because the minimum number of carbon atom present is going to be 6, no? So definitely it will be either liquid or solid state. Now the second physical property of alloalkanes and alloarenes is going to be color. Almost all the alloalkanes are colorless when it is present in the pure form. Pure form in the sense the halogen is present in its molecular form itself and it is not combined with any other atoms or the molecule. When it is in the pure form, all alloalkanes are going to be colorless. But the interesting thing is, if you consider bromides and iodides, it can show some colors when it is going to exposed to light. So what you can say, bromides and iodides shows color in the presence of light. For example, bromides can show violet or brown color when it is present in the presence of light. When you keep bromide in the presence of light, it is going to change its color to violet or brown. When it is in dark, it is colorless. But in the presence of light, it will show some color. Only bromides and iodides. This is about the color property of alloalkanes. Third one is odor or smell. How the odor of these alloalkanes and alloarenes are going to be. Most of the volatile halogen compounds in the sense, in most of the cases it is going to be in the form of gas. Those type of compounds are going to have sweet smell. The fragrance is going to be very good for the volatile halogen compounds. This is about odor. And if you consider solid alloalkanes or alloarenes, it is going to be odorless. Only the volatile halogen compounds will have sweet smell. Please note down all the properties one by one. It is very important and it is going to help you a lot in your examination purpose. Next physical property and the very important physical property is melting point and boiling point of alloalkanes and alloarenes. This is very important, guys. Listen carefully and try to understand it. It is very compulsory to understand the concept. Before understanding how the melting point and boiling point is going to be in alloalkanes and alloarenes, let us first see what is melting point and what is boiling point. Melting point is nothing but a temperature required or provided to change states from solid to liquid. The substance previously it was solid in state. After providing some temperature, it started converting into liquid. That particular temperature required is considered as melting point. And boiling point in the sense the temperature required to change states from liquid to gas. Previously it was liquid. After getting some temperature, it started converting into gaseous state. That particular temperature is known as boiling point. Now let's see how it is going to vary in alloalkanes and alloarenes. If I write the representation of alloalkanes or alloarenes, it will be generally like this. R bonded with X, where R can be any alkyl group or it can be any aryl group. Since this halogen group is more electronegative, this is more electronegative, no? Since it is more electronegative, it will try to pull the electrons towards itself. So as soon as it tries to pull the electron towards itself, this X is going to get partially negative charge and this carbon will get partially positive charge. If there is a creation of negative and positive charge, we call it as polar in nature. This alloalkanes or alloarenes are going to be polar in nature. And it is going to possess high polarity. And also one more interesting thing is, whatever it is either melting point or it is either boiling point, they are going to mainly depend on one particular force. We call it as intermolecular force of attraction. Intermolecular force of attraction. Based on this intermolecular force of attraction, we can say how the melting point and boiling point is going to vary. Now, what is the meaning of this intermolecular force of attraction? Here, many students will get confused between intermolecular force and interatomic force. Let me clear that point now because it is very important for your MCQs. If I consider a molecule like carbon bonded with chlorine and remaining 3 bonds are with hydrogen. Okay. Now, this is one molecule. If you talk about the attraction force which exists between carbon and chlorine, that means this bond, or the attraction force which exists between carbon and hydrogen, any of these hydrogen, that force we call it as interatomic force. The force is going to exist between two atoms. But now we are going to discuss about intermolecular force of attraction. Intermolecular in the sense, this particular whole molecule is going to get attracted or bonded with one more molecule like this. You know, it can be present with chlorine and 3 bonds are with hydrogen. Same type of molecule it is. If the attraction force exists between these two molecules, that is what we call as intermolecular force of attraction. Okay, don't get confused. We are not going to break the bond within the molecule, but we are going to study the force of attraction which exists between two molecules. Okay, that is what intermolecular force of attraction. This intermolecular force of attraction also explain about van der Waals force of attraction. We have already discussed in first year what is van der Waals force of attraction and all. Van der Waals force of attraction. It can be also called as London force. Remember these words: intermolecular force of attraction, van der Waals force of attraction, or London force. Okay. Based on these type of force of attraction, we are going to discuss how melting point and boiling point is going to vary. Okay. And one more important thing is, we are going to study melting point and boiling point of the haloalkanes and alloarenes, comparing it with its parent compound. Comparing with its parent compound. Now, what do you mean by parent compound? We know that if I write CH3Cl, how did this CH3Cl form? I'm not asking about the methods and all. Generally, we just replaced, the parent group was methane. From this methane, we replaced one of the hydrogen by chlorine. Later it became methyl chloride, correct? So to this methyl chloride, parent compound is methane. This is just an example. You consider any of the alloalkane or alloarene, the parent compound is going to be its respective hydrocarbon group. So we are talking about the melting point of that particular parent hydrocarbon with the respective alloalkane or alloarene. Okay. Remember, we are considering melting point and boiling point. In between, how it is going to vary in between alloalkane and its respective hydrocarbon, or alloarene and its respective hydrocarbon. Okay. Now listen carefully, guys. Since halogen derivatives in the sense it can be alloalkane or alloarene, they have higher molecular mass compared to its respective parent hydrocarbon. Now, since it has higher molecular mass, definitely the intermolecular force of attraction is also going to be more. Since the intermolecular force of attraction is more, the melting and boiling point of alloalkanes and alloarenes are more, comparing with the melting and boiling point of hydrocarbon. Let me make you even clear. Let us consider one of the hydrocarbon, that is methane. Methane molecular mass is 12 plus 4, that is 16. Now we replace one of the hydrogen by chlorine. Let us consider chlorine itself. It will become CH3Cl. Cl is 35.5 and plus 15. So it is 50.5. You can see the molecular mass of alloalkane is greater than the molecular mass of its respective hydrocarbon. Correct? Molecular mass is more. Since the molecular mass is more, intermolecular force of attraction is also going to be more. If the intermolecular force of attraction is more, that means it is, the attraction force is very much higher. So you need to apply a lot of temperature to break that intermolecular force of attraction. That is why the melting and boiling point of alloalkanes and alloarenes are going to be more compared to the melting and boiling point of hydrocarbon. You can use a simple logic here. As the molecular mass increases, this intermolecular force of attraction also increases. Molecular force of attraction also increases. Therefore, melting and boiling point also increases. All are directly proportional. Molecular mass is directly proportional with the intermolecular force of attraction, which is directly proportional with the melting point or boiling point. So as the molecular mass increases, melting and boiling point also increases. As molecular mass increases, intermolecular force of attraction also increases. Okay. This is a relation between the melting and boiling point of alloalkanes, alloarenes with its respective hydrocarbons. One more important point is the attraction gets stronger as the size of molecule get bigger and have more number of electrons in it. For example, if you consider a molecule like, we'll consider a molecule of alloalkane, where the alkyl group is going to be same and this halogen will change. Okay, let me write that. I'll write CH3 with iodine, CH3 with bromine, CH3 with chlorine and CH3 with fluorine. If you observe this molecules, you can see that the alkyl group is going to be same. No need to worry about that. But see the halogen groups. One is iodine, bromine, chlorine, fluorine. And you can observe one more thing. The size of iodine is bigger. Size of iodine is bigger compared to bromine, which is bigger compared to chlorine. And that chlorine is bigger than fluorine. So we came to know that as the size of molecule increases, the attraction force also increases. Since attraction force increases, melting and boiling point will also increases, no? Because they are directly proportional to each other. So now what you can observe, this methyl iodide has greater boiling or melting point compared to this methyl bromide, which has even greater boiling point compared to CH3Cl, which is greater than CH3F. Understood? Generally you can write it as Ri greater than RBr, which is greater than RCl, and that is greater than RF. This is the decreasing order of melting point. Order of melting or boiling point of alloalkenes. Why it is decreasing order? Because from left to right, we are writing it in the form of, at last it is going to be very less. So from left to right it is decreasing. That is why it is decreasing order of boiling point of alloalkenes. Okay, as the size of halogen increases, attraction force also increases, so the melting and boiling point will also increases. That is why RF has very least boiling point compared to any of the haloalkane with the same alkyl group. One more important point is how this melting and boiling point is going to vary in isomeric compounds. See, as the branches increases, boiling point decreases. As you increase the branches in the molecule, in the compound, the boiling point of that respective compound is going to be less. Let me give an example. See the example here, CH3, CH2, 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 Br. This is nothing but N-bromo butane. Why N? Because it is in a chain form. And these two are the isomeric form of this bromobutane. You can check the molecular formula and all later. See here, in this isomeric form, there is one branch. This bromine is present in the branch form. Correct? And if you observe one more isomeric form, in this compound there are two branches. Yes? And you can observe one more thing here. As the branches increases, the surface area is going to be less. See? This N-butane needs this much of surface area. See the length. And this one branched butane require only this much area. And the surface area of this isomer is even lesser. As the branch increases, the surface area is going to be less. That is why the boiling point also decreases. See, I will give you a logic to remember here. Boiling point is inversely proportional to branching. Okay. As the branches increases, the boiling point will decreases. Why as the branches increases, boiling point will decreases? Because as branches increases, surface area will also decreases. Surface area decreases with increase in branching. Okay. And the thing is, surface area and boiling point are directly proportional. Okay. Both the surface area and boiling point are inversely proportional to branching. I am giving this mathematical representation so that you can remember the concept. Okay. The thing is, as branches increases, boiling point is going to decrease. As soon as branches increases, surface area of that molecule is going to decrease. So the boiling point will also decreases. Now let's see how the boiling point of haloarenes will vary. Usually the dihaloarenes are going to have nearly very similar value of boiling point, but there is, even though it is very similar, slight difference will be there. That slight difference can be differentiated between the positions of branch present in the haloarene, like whether it is ortho, meta or para. In our previous classes we have discussed what do you mean by ortho, meta and para positions. This is ortho, this is meta and this is para compound. Okay, see here, para isomers are high melting compared to their ortho and meta isomers. This para is going to be high melting point compared to ortho and meta. Why para isomer is going to have high melting point? It is because its symmetry. Symmetry in the sense, see this para compound. Anyhow you make it off, you'll get two equal parts. That is why it is symmetry. This para is symmetry in nature. Since it is symmetry, it can easily fits in its crystal lattice. Crystal lattice we'll study in the chapter solid state. That means how fit they are, how fit the molecules are. That is what crystal lattice. And the crystal lattice of p isomer is greater due to its symmetry. That is why it is going to have high melting. If the crystal lattice is more, crystal lattice in the sense how effectively they fits each other. If they fits very strongly, then you need to definitely apply more temperature to break that. That is why para isomers are going to have high melting point due to its symmetry and since it fits in crystal lattice compared to its respective ortho and meta isomers. And I have written one order for boiling point and melting point of this ortho, meta and para positioned isomers of haloarenes. This is important in terms of your MCQs. Let me say what it is. The boiling point of ortho isomer is greater than para isomer, which is greater than meta isomer. Look at here, boiling point. These data are given in your NCERT and the boiling point is represented in terms of Kelvin. You can look at the boiling point of ortho, which is 453, and that is greater compared to para, which is greater compared to meta. This is for boiling point. And see for melting point. In melting point, para is greater to 323, which is greater than ortho 256, and that is greater than meta 249. Guys, for your examination purpose, you no need to remember these values accurately. What you need to remember is the order. Sometime in questions they'll only give the values, but you just need to remember which position is going to be more melting point and more boiling point. So note down this order for the boiling and melting point of haloarenes, dihaloarenes. And also remember the reason para is going to be having high melting point due to its symmetry and it easily fits in a crystal lattice compared to its respective ortho and meta isomers. This is all about melting point and boiling point of haloalkanes and haloarenes. Now let us discuss about its density. Bromo, iodo and polychloro derivatives. Haloalkane or haloarenes containing bromine, containing iodine and containing more number of chlorines. That is why it is polychloro. Those derivatives are heavier comparing with water. We know the formula of density. Density is equal to mass by volume. Correct? So as mass increases, density also increases. They are directly proportional, no? Correct? So see, density increases with increase in number of carbon atoms. as you keep on increasing number of carbon atoms, definitely the mass of compound is going to increase. So the density will increase, and also by increasing halogen atoms. Whatever the atom, whether it is carbon or halogen, if you keep on adding, the mass is going to be more only, no? So the density will also increases. And also by observing atomic mass of halogen atom, you can write the you can predict the difference between densities. For example, some alkyl halide with chlorine and some alkyl halide with iodine. By looking at that halogen atom and the atomic mass of halogen atom, you can predict which of the compound is going to be more denser than the other. This is how we predict the density of haloalkanes and haloarenes, which is very easy. Now let's see the last physical property of haloalkane and haloarene, that is solubility. We came to know that it will be like in the form of Rx, where X will get delta negative charge and R will get delta positive charge. If you write negative and positive charge, it means polarity exists. And in our first year PUC, we have discussed a compound like dissolves like. It means polar substance dissolves in polar solvents and non-polar substance dissolves in non-polar solvents. And by looking at the nature of this alkyl halide, we can say it is polar in nature. But the exceptional case here is it is slightly soluble in water. Even though it is polar in nature, it is not going to get completely soluble in water, but it is slightly, very little amount, very traces of amount is going to soluble in water. Now you may ask question, even though it is polar, why it is not getting soluble in water? Because it is an exceptional case, no? It is a conflict, no? There is a reason for this. Whenever we write hydrogen molecule, it will be like this. Observe carefully. Oxygen is in bent structure, bonded with 2 hydrogen. This is how water molecule will exist. How the bonds will be in 2 water molecules, not only 2, in all the water molecules. It will be like this. This oxygen will make some bond with the hydrogen of another water molecule, and the bond will continue. Correct? This is how the bond exists between 2 water molecules. What is this bond? The bond exists between 2 water molecules. It is nothing but, we call it as hydrogen bond. And we already know this hydrogen bond is very strong. This hydrogen bond is very strong. If you say this alkyl halide will get dissolved in water, that means alkyl halide is going to break this hydrogen bond, and the alkyl halide itself is trying to make bond with the water molecule. This will only happen when the bond form between alkyl halide and water molecule is going to be more stronger than the hydrogen bond. But the thing is, if in case this alkyl halide made bond also, that bond is not going to be stronger compared to hydrogen bond. So this alkyl halide required more energy, more and more energy to break this hydrogen bond. But alkyl halide don't have that sufficient energy. That is why it is not able to break this hydrogen bond in water molecule. So it is slightly soluble in water. If in case it had more energy to break the hydrogen bond, it could have easily soluble in water. But it do not have that much amount of energy. That is why it is not breaking this hydrogen bond and it is not getting soluble in water molecule. But this alkyl halide will easily soluble in organic solvents. Organic solvents, like it can be benzene or it can be carbon tetrachloride, any of the organic solvents. Because when you mix alkyl halides with organic solvents, the bond in the these solvents are going to get break, and this solvent will make bond with the alkyl halide, and that bond will be stronger. That is why alkyl halides are easily soluble in organic solvents, not in water. Even though it gets soluble, it will be in very slight form. Okay, this is very important, guys. It is important because it is an exceptional case. Generally, always polar dissolve in polar and non-polar dissolve in non-polar. But here, this alkyl halide, even it is polar, it is going to get dissolved in non-polar organic solvents. Due to the explanation I gave already, that it is not able to break the hydrogen bond in water molecule, since it is very strong, and alkyl halide do not have that much amount of energy in it. Okay, remember it. Alkyl halide will soluble in organic solvents and not in water. Understood? Okay, guys, I thought to give a review notes based on physical properties of haloalkanes and haloarenes. You guys please take a screenshot of this and later copy it in your notebook. Take a screenshot. Take a screenshot of it. Yes. I hope this video was helpful for you to understand the physical property of haloalkanes and haloarenes. In the next class, before starting chemical properties of haloalkanes and haloarenes, I am thinking to do some NEET questions, JEE and CET questions based on the concept we covered so far. That means based on classification and preparation methods and nomenclature and this physical properties. Based on these concepts, we'll finish few MCQ questions first. Later, we'll start with the chemical properties. Okay, so you guys be thorough based on our previous concepts and all, so that you will be able to answer some MCQs in my next video. Please subscribe to my channel so that you will get the notification of the next video. Thank you so much.